pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father, we love you so much and thank you for this day, God. We just pray for our nation tonight as we're having the election. God, I just pray that your will would be done, and God, that what you want for our nation would happen. And God, we just entrust you with that, and also want to pray for all those affected by the floods and the weather yesterday. God, I pray that you would just be with people as they clean up, and pray for safety there, and God, that any loss of property or whatever, God, that you would just be with people in that, and just be with the cleanup. God, I pray for us tonight as we make decisions that will affect the school district. God, I just pray that you would help us to make wise decisions. And God, I pray that as we continue to search for a new superintendent, that you would just guide us in the direction you would have us to go there. God, I just bless this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, we're gonna call this November 5th, 2024 school board meeting to order. We do have a quorum.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. It is a big night across the country, and we will try to be as concise as we can, move through this and move on to see how that plays out. You've had an opportunity to look at the information that's been provided to you in the consent agenda. We have our minutes from last month. We have 3 special board meetings that we had throughout the month. Those minutes are included. Your enrollment report, I apologize, somehow in the process of copying that, I've gotten that off. So there should be an 11/1/2023 report, an 11/1/2024 report, and then an August report. So if that is what you show, then you're good. If not, I will make sure we get a proper report out to you tomorrow. Somehow, when I put those together, I messed them up.
It happens.
It does.
I don't feel like I put those dates. So that's the August one.
The date.
I got you. It's last year.
You can have that one, because I wrote
Yes,
it.
and then the ones that stapled together, put them behind us.
Okay, you also have your financial report. The finances look good. Tina, anything you want to add to that?
No, not at the moment, they do look good, I'm pleased.
We're comfortable with where we're at this point. That's enough said on that, I guess. We do have a couple of items we need to get approved. Number 1 is the consortia fee at the Northwest Arkansas Education.
I don't, did we approve the minutes? I slept through it.
Oh, you didn't approve the minutes.
Pardon me?
We gotta
didn't
approve
approve the minutes.
consent agenda.
And the minutes.
You've lost me.
We didn't approve them.
No, well, we will when we approve the whole consent agenda.
Oh, I thought we were moving past that, okay.
So,
Sorry.
in there you also have the consortia fee, and that's $18,900. That fee is to allow our teachers and staff, we pay a flat fee to the co-op of $18,900, and then in return, we don't pay the sign-up fees for many of the opportunities that the co-op provides. We monitor that every year, and we tend to save money by purchasing ahead. It's kind of like buying a season ticket, doing it this way. We are purchasing ahead, and we have a savings at the end of the year. We do monitor that every year to make sure that we have that. You have the ASBA trip, accidental death and dismemberment policy that's included. That's $681. That basically protects our staff, our bus drivers, and you if you are traveling to any kind of a board training or traveling based off of your job. It provides a life insurance policy purchased here by the school. You all have had that for many years. We thought we would keep that in place. It's $600, not a lot of money, but if needed, it would be very valuable to those families if something unfortunate were to take place. And then Edmentum is an online learning program that we use. Yes.
We use it for virtual education, and then we also use it for credit recovery. And so we are billed on a per student basis, per student per class for the virtual ed. And so we get multiple bills throughout the year as students join virtual. Mostly it's at the beginning of first semester, beginning of second semester, but we do have occasions where we have students that need to join in the middle for certain reasons.
The dollar amounts on those exceed what I can approve, so we come to the board for those two items. But that is the consent agenda. I would take any questions you have, or I would recommend that we approve the consent agenda.
Alright, all in favor?
Okay? All right, thank you. Administrative reports. I'll turn it over to anybody that, I know we were trying to be brief tonight, but anything that anybody has, anything we need to share. All right, then we will move on to the superintendent's reports. The school-based health clinic has had a bit of a change. Matt, why don't you talk about what discussions we've had and nothing finalized yet, but.
Yeah, so, well, originally we had talked about having the school-based health clinic in Watson Primary. Then we moved the location to one of those white buildings. And the issue, as you all know, is that's so close to our playground, and so we have kids coming through there and staff coming through there. So Jennifer actually brought up at the school-based health clinic training that we went to, why haven't we talked about the portable buildings that we have out here behind the primary? And so when I got back, we looked at it, and so we've actually talked about moving that location. We're about 90% sure that that's where it's gonna be now. The thought is that we could put a sidewalk from the parking lot at Charles Berry right behind the kindergarten, so it doesn't take up any more of our practice field than we already have. And then just 90 it over. There's a back door on that our students don't use. We'll put a ADA ramp up to it and make sure it's compliant with that, and then fence that all in to where as community come in, they can park in the Charles Berry parking lot, go into that clinic, and we'll divide it off to where they have zero access to anything school related, any kids, anything like that. So
Does that bring art and stuff back over?
So
Yes.
what happened was Ms. Hawkins moved her art and music back to her building. And so we had already kind of talked about that at the end of the school year with that clinic, and I was like, you're missing this space. And so because of that, that opened that up, and it really, I feel like was the perfect solution.
Unless remodel.
I mean, financially, it's gonna be way cheaper for us because
Even with the new sidewalk and everything.
yeah, I mean, the plumbing and all that, I mean, you guys know that was gonna be the biggest deal because we were gonna have to saw cut and all that. But in this one, we have a crawl space, there's access to all the plumbing and everything in there, the electrical's right there. So it's gonna be way cheaper to remodel. Now, the sidewalk will cost quite a bit, but I still think even with the addition of the sidewalk, we're gonna be way under what we were looking at about 100,000 with us doing the renovations in that other building,
Are
so.
we going to be able to do the renovations, or are we still gonna have to hire that out?
We can do the renovations on it, so. They're really HVAC, there's not much because all the grills and everything are already spread out throughout there, and so it's really not gonna take a whole lot to get it ready to go there.
What are the hours gonna be on the health clinic? The reason I'm asking that, do we need to designate some parking spots in the gym parking lot for that? Cause, I mean, everybody in here that's ever been to anything at the gym knows that parking lot gets nuts.
Yes.
You know, so if there's 3 or 4 parking spots that are designated, if we're gonna have it open while things are going on, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yep.
That's
So-
something we might need to look at, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
We do have handicap access right there, and then my thought was we would put 3 or 4, like you said,
Sure.
that are right there against that fence.
Yep.
and designate those as school-based health clinic, parking.
8 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, the hours are 8 to 5 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and then Friday they're half day, so they're 8 to 11:30, I think, so.
So we're not gonna have to do any kind of like lighting or anything because of after
Not really.
hours? That would be the only other thing that I would think about is,
Like
like the
lights on.
sidewalk,
Yeah.
lighting it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No.
Well, it's
So-
some wall packs, the element, or the kindergarten building has wall packs on the outside of it, but I still don't know if that'd be enough to.
Light up that sidewalk. Yeah. Yeah, that's something I hadn't looked at, but I mean, 5 o'clock right now, I guess potentially would be dark.
Most of the year.
Most of the year, you're not too worried about it, but
My thing is, the staff, just because it closes at 5, doesn't mean that the staff is going to be leaving at 5. So
right,
we need to have some kind of,
walk away for them,
walkway
yeah,
lights for them.
yeah. Something to look at for sure, appreciate bringing that up. But yeah, I think this is gonna solve a lot of issues that we had with the other location. So we're pretty excited about it.
That looks like a win.
Yep.
Compared to where we were, because where we were was gonna cost a lot of money. And so I am
And
excited.
also it's kind of hard limiting the access and all of that is really.
Preschool parking.
Yeah, that's.
And nobody's saying, I mean, I don't think any of us are thinking this might be the final location for it forever. As the school grows and things happen, the possibility to do other things with it and maybe put it in even a different location
Yeah.
would be available also, so. All right, thank you.
Yep.
The land sale on Highway 23 is moving forward, and let me clear up one thing I said at the last board meeting, that the problem was on their end. Since then, there's been a hiccup on our end with the two attorneys, but we do, I have called Mr. Allred Thursday, Friday, and today, and I haven't got him yet, but I think everything is ready for that to take place. I do think we have it all worked through. Baseball and softball update, I'll give you a little more information on that as we go, but that building is proceeding. It does look good, and let me also say went down to the pie sale, or the cake sale the other night, and there is some interest in looking at what we can do to expand that in St. Paul, and I think Bruce and Matt and I have had some discussions about that, and I think that we are going to look at that, and we'll probably be more in contact with you all to see what needs to take place, but that could be exciting for the community down there.
Very exciting.
Has that field ever flooded?
I don't know that it has, but.
Yes.
That's-
It has.
Well, that's what, somebody had brought up to me this week, that it's flooded before, and so.
Go baseball field?
Yeah, we had to take the fence out.
It
Sorry, I
did.
know I
It
derailed.
did, and, when was that? We've had a real big flood. I think it's when the kids washed off out here on 74.
Mhm.
It was along about that time that the baseball field at St. Paul's, when they lost their field, it took the outfield fence and everything out. Seems like it was in that time frame, that was like in 04 or 06, 07, somewhere down in there.
Okay, well, just something that we kind of talked a little bit about today, just in thinking about doing those things, being prepared. I know that's really rare, but
Yeah, that's
Something
what
to
I'm
think
saying,
about.
it's not, if it happens, it's not in every time it rains.
yes,
Right.
okay.
It flooded in the last couple of days. It's in pretty good
That's
shape.
right, we talked about that this
Yeah, I
morning.
looked at it today and it wasn't flooded.
No, that's what I'm saying, I think it's gonna have to, if it floods that, then I think it's gonna flood
$500,000
everything.
worth
Yeah.
of equipment underwater out at War Eagle Bridge today.
Josh,
Back to baseball and softball, how did the soil samples come back?
good.
Good.
I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. We got a whole deal on that down here.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, they came back good. The property on Kane Street, we are moving forward. I have bad news to deliver, and that is that there was an error made, and I believe it to be an honest mistake, but it was still a mistake. Originally, we had been told that we would not have to do asbestos abatement on it due to the size of the building. And Kimco went to get started about a week ago and found that we were gonna have to abate. So, it is what it is. You know, it's going to be a little over $6,000 to abate it. We haven't started on it because I wanted to share that with you all. I don't necessarily need your approval on it because it's under the amount that I can approve, but I did want you to know what was going on because I didn't want to have any secrets. I have worked with them on other jobs and big jobs, and I can truthfully say this is the first time this has ever happened, but it has happened. And
Should that not have been disclosed by the realtor?
When we bought it as is.
Yeah.
So, you know, originally we thought there was a chance just because of the age of the house, you know, we discussed that in the summer.
Right.
But then we were told that because of the size of the house, it wouldn't matter, so I wasn't concerned about it. But about a week ago, I got a phone call and found out that information was not correct.
And that was Kinko that told us that?
Yes, it was, yes, it was, and they own it, I mean, but it still is what it is, you know.
For me, coming from a construction background, if I made a mistake like that, I hate that mistake.
Yeah.
At least part of it.
At least, you know, to me, I don't feel right having to eat that money, and I don't feel right for our taxpayers to have to eat that money when it was their mess up. I mean, if we wanna go in halves with them, I can see that, but I wouldn't agree with paying for it.
Yeah.
But that's just coming from my background and been through this a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you probably have too.
Well, I'll call them tomorrow, and we'll have a discussion, and kinda see where we get on that.
Worth a shot.
And
Because I'm guessing, I mean, I've done lots of contracts on projects and
we've
stuff
had a
over
little
the years.
discussion about that already, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure that isn't kind of where we're at to start with, but I just wanna tell you where we're at, okay?
Sure.
And,
I'm not trying to
I'm
cause
sorry,
any issues.
but it is
I'm really
what
not.
it is, you know?
I agree though.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've done that once and.
Yeah, well, I need to bring it to you all, make you aware of it before I can discuss too much with them as to what we can do or what we can't do or what we, you know, what's acceptable to us. So we'll go from there and, I'll be back in touch, okay?
Appreciate that.
Okay. You probably noticed that we have changed the pickup at the primary. Would you wanna say anything about that very quickly?
Yeah, it has solved a lot. It's getting the cars off the road. It gives them a place to go. I just have to publicly thank the police department for all the effort that they've done to keep training the parents, I guess, is the real hard part is there's a great place to put them there right before 3:45. But then what happens when they move down and the cars are trying to still come in that normal way? And so there's a little bit of training still happening as far as keep using that upper entrance, but it's going much more smoothly. Josh, you're a pickup parent, what do
I
you
mean,
think?
To be fair, Shorty does it most of the time, but I mean, I was with her last week, it helps.
Yeah, so you felt like as a parent, it's
Oh,
pretty
absolutely.
well?
Yeah, it's
Must
way
not
better.
be too bad, I haven't seen it blowed up all over Facebook.
No,
Seems to go good so far.
it
I
does,
still
there's,
don't like that we're having them sitting there parked with, you know, cause we don't know if it is an actual parent sitting there watching their
Right.
kids on the playground, which is why we moved them out of the parking lot to begin with.
right, yeah,
Yeah, I will say whenever I drove by, you know, there were, I think it was like 3:15 or something, there were already people.
sitting there.
Usually not too.
I don't like that.
This is a topic for another day, but obviously our playground safety, what measures we can do to prevent, because we fight that with even people parking over at the funeral home and watching, and so,
Do you have, does every parent have like a tag?
yes.
Yes.
I mean.
And they really cracked down on the tag thing.
Yeah, my wife went to pick up one of ours the other day who teaches there. And they're like, where's your tag?
Yeah.
So they're doing
And
their
they know,
job.
like, die hard because they don't, I mean, I can't put that off on anybody to say, yeah, I think I know that's who that is, and
That's
I
the way it
mean,
ought to be.
it
If you
just.
got rules, you gotta enforce them. It don't matter if it's the president or Joe off the street. You gotta enforce them.
Well,
And every other school's doing it too, so it's
it
not
just
like.
takes that fear off of anybody, you know, to have to make a decision that causes them to give a kid to the wrong person.
And then today, we started the new pickup at the middle school. We have put rock down, the city has really been a good partner with us on both projects, I'll say that. We provided the rock, they have provided the manpower and the equipment. They went back behind the middle school, they have worked on that road. We put, I believe it was 18 loads of gravel out there on it. And we went and checked, Matt went and checked it this morning, and 17 loads are still there.
We had to do a little work, so we back out this
We
morning.
parked the buses up there when I was in high school, that's where the buses parked, was on that road.
Mhm.
And there was one spot there that was pretty bad.
Well,
That's probably where you
Blaine-
lost your load of gravel.
Blaine went up there this morning and worked on one spot, and that might be the same spot.
It
But
probably is.
that will not be perfect, you know, and that will take some
Could we put
getting
a
used to as we go.
culvert in there to take that under the road,
You
send them across?
might, I haven't looked at it enough to be able to
It's a
say.
city street, so I think it would,
You might
That would be the
get
city.
city to look at it, by putting a culvert in there.
What we're trying to do basically is get the cars off of 412 and also get them out of our businesses that are down there along the roads, parking lots.
Well, if you've
It's-
ever drove a bus up there with them sitting on the side of the road, some of them will not get off toward the edge of the road, and it's pretty tight.
So that is where we are with those items. Anybody have any questions or other comments on any of those? All right, we have two quick little academic reports to give tonight. Michelle Franklin came in right after the school year had started. We were very fortunate to add her. She is working with our Gifted and Talented program, and I don't know how many of you all have had an opportunity to meet Michelle, but we've enjoyed our time with her. We enjoyed working with her. Michelle, why don't you take it now?
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me tonight. So part of our state requirement is that we educate all stakeholders. And so I just want to share briefly about our program. We're kind of rebranding it, I guess, I don't know if that's the term, but as Huntsville School District Flight, so fostering learning and imagination and gifted and highly talented. So I just want to talk briefly about the program and then about gifted education and then what our current programming looks like for this year. So there are some minor changes. And then I need to talk about an advisory committee, which is required by the state. So definition of gifted and talented are those who demonstrate outstanding levels of aptitude or competence in one or more domains. Those domains look like intellectual, creative, artistic, leadership capacities, or in specific academic fields, but it's not always academic. Arkansas and the Huntsville School District recognizes the unique needs of gifted and talented students and the importance of specialized programs to nurture their potential. So just some quick myths, and these are really brief because I know it's election night, we're all in a hurry to get out of here. So if you want more information, please feel free to contact me. So myth number one, gifted students will succeed on their own. That's not true. They have to have appropriate challenges and support. So if you look at the opposite spectrum, where those low students need support, our high students need support as well. All students are gifted in some way. So when we talk about giftedness, we are referring to exceptional abilities in specific areas. So yes, in a way, everybody has some talent, but we're looking at specific areas of talent. Myth number three, gifted programs are elitist. Research shows when we're using a gifted and talented program appropriately, it actually promotes equity, and it is not an elitist program. It is also not a club, which it's often identified as a club. It's not a club. We address specific, unique learning needs for those students. Acceleration harms students socially. So research shows that this is not the case. When it's done appropriate, acceleration actually has positive effects not only on the student, but as the school as a whole. Gifted students are always high achievers. This is a big misconception among teachers, parents, students themselves. This is not the case. So underachievement can often occur because a student is bored, they're not getting their, we're not meeting their academic or mental needs, which are different from regular students. And then our teachers challenge all students, so gifted kids will be fine in the classroom. Although teachers do their very best to accommodate for all students, I'm a classroom teacher, I came from a classroom teacher, we work really hard. But very few teachers are trained to differentiate for the higher level learners or gifted kids. In fact, in the nation, only about 45% of regular classroom teachers are trained to differentiate for gifted students, and in Arkansas, that number is much lower. So our current program options for Huntsville right now, we have whole group enrichment. This is provided for K through 2. The state requires 30 minutes of gifted enrichment per week. It's used for long-term identification, but the GT teacher delivers 1 lesson per month and provides lessons for teachers to deliver the remaining weeks. Resource room is provided for grades 3 through 5, so this is your pullout. The state requires 150 minutes of service per week for these students that have been identified as gifted and talented. The GT teacher pulls them into a resource room daily for instruction. Course content differentiation in the regular classroom, this is where it's varied a little bit. And we're providing this for 6th grade. It's no longer a pull-out option just because of time constraints on my schedule. And so the state still requires 150 minutes of services per week. Currently, we've trained our 6th grade science and social studies teachers to differentiate for gifted students. So if one of them is absent, the students are still receiving their full minutes. The GT coordinator meets with the students once a month for emotional and social needs. And then 7th through 12th grade, we have honors, AP, and concurrent. We utilize this as allowing for identified gifted students to enroll in those courses. Again, we still have to have a required 150 minutes of services per week. And then I also meet with those students once a month for emotional and social needs. Any questions about, accelerated learning? It is in our handbook that we accelerate. This can include single subject acceleration, whole grade acceleration, early entrance into kindergarten, and early college experience. Any questions about our current programming? Okay. So here's where I need some help. So the state requires that we have an advisory committee. This is different from a program placement committee. So we have to have a committee that helps identify students. So the advisory committee's purpose is to guide and support gifted and talented education programs. It needs to be comprised of diverse stakeholders, including educators, parents, community members, and sometimes students. And it is a requirement by the state. So term length, what we would like to do is typically 2 to 3 years with staggered terms for continuity. We'll meet 2 meetings per year, once in the fall semester and once in the spring. There's kind of a twofold process for the advisory committee. So the first one is program evaluation. We review current gifted practices, assess alignment with state standards and best practices, identify areas for improvement, and then recommend program enhancement based on stakeholder evaluations. Our second is policy and advisory, or advocacy, excuse me. So develop and review gifted education policies, ensure compliance with Arkansas gifted education regulations, advocate for adequate funding and resources, promote awareness of gifted students' needs, and collaborate with other educational committee and boards. So implementation timeline that I'd like to do is, I started the school year late, so we're still in process. First we need to form a committee, then we need to develop evaluation and implementation for various stakeholders. And so that's the plan for the December meeting. What tools are we gonna use for teachers, students, parents, that they can provide feedback about our program? And then conduct that needs assessment in January and February. Develop program recommendations based on that feedback at our March meeting. And then present to the school board for approval if anything is needed for approval in April or May. And then an annual review and adjustment as needed. Questions about that?
How many members are you looking for?
It's not, so the state doesn't set a required number, but we do have to have representation of all stakeholders. So I'd love for a school board member to be involved with that. I'm looking for at least 1 or 2 community members, a parent and administration, and then a teacher. So I would like to have 5 or 6 on that so we have a good representation of all stakeholders. So any other questions?
I have a question. How many students do we have total for our GT program right now? About, not a, you have, approximately.
We have about roughly 150.
Okay. And do you have to service up here and St. Paul?
So we do have a part-time GT teacher at St. Paul.
Okay.
She pulls out 1 class, so she teaches the day and then pulls out 1 class period. Twice a week, I think is what she's doing. So.
Okay. You're getting service.
Unless we're not leaving them out.
No, we're not leaving them out, and so,
Do you need a committee for both campuses, or
No,
will one
just
committee
for-
take care of both?
yeah, just 1 committee, and I want representations from both, schools. So our next steps or call to actions, of course, seek diverse committed individuals for the committee, review our current programs and identify immediate improvement opportunities. This is things that I've been working on. Achieve compliance of the Huntsville Gifted and Talented program with state requirements. And then commit to ongoing support and evaluation of our programs. So if there's anybody here that would be willing to serve on the flight committee, there is a QR code if you have your phone handy, or I can also email out the link to that form.
Yeah.
So when are you meeting in December?
I'd like
Set a date?
I have not set a date, because I'm working on gathering the committee and we'll kind of see who's interested and then select a date that most people can attend.
It keeps wanting to go down to.
So, but I'm
I'm
thinking the like within the first 2 weeks of December. Don't want it too close to Christmas break, but any other questions?
So if you have an interest,
Administrators too?
let me know, let Michelle know, or let Matt know, one of us will get you in contact with Michelle, and we're grateful for the work you did.
Thank you.
Yes.
You've been a great addition
Thank
to our
you.
team.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
Thank you.
I'd also say the first couple weeks of December are gonna be pretty slam packed for us
Oh, yeah.
because of superintendent stuff, so I don't know if that's gonna conflict with the, kind of.
I'm sure that'll be very busy though.
Okay, I can adjust dates too, that's just kind of,
Well, that's just our busy time with the new superintendent search, and we're gonna be
Yeah.
doing meetings and interviews and all that stuff. I'll just put that out there now, that way we don't get to the last minute.
that's good, thank you.
All right, Matt?
I just wanted to talk for just a minute about a couple of trips that, I went on. Brian went with me to Grand Rapids. Our co-op, our Northwest Arkansas co-op, I believe I've talked to you guys a little bit about this before, but, they got a grant to do some research on CTE facilities and having a regional facility, and, so we had the opportunity to go up to Grand Rapids and look at a facility up there, and it was amazing. But in talking to them, they get a lot of funding for that, and after doing some figuring, some of the superintendents were talking, and I think they get about $30,000 or $40,000 per student to run that program, and, so as you can imagine, with that kind of money, they have some amazing facilities, but, going on those trips is good because it gives us some ideas on things that we can improve in and areas that we could expand to, and what a regional site would look like for us and how we could partner with the co-op in that. And one of the things that I came back with, they actually sent some teachers to their schools that they're serving and paid for that teacher and had a class on site, and so that to me was something that was attractive, that if we do have a regional site, maybe they can pay for a teacher to come and do a class that, we don't already offer. It also, another takeaway for me was just partnering with some other schools and providing more opportunities within our CT facilities that we already have. So I've been in talks a little bit with Elkins about maybe using power sports down here to bring in some Elkins kids and get them involved in that, and even our CTE programs here in Huntsville, we could potentially partner with Elkins. And I actually talked to the state liaison today. She was here, she was down at St. Paul. They come in with our co-op director for CTE, and they were looking at all of our facilities and talking to our teachers, and that's something that she's working on for me, is to see how that partnership, some of the logistics of that partnership as far as where the kids enrolled, how do we get them scheduled, and those types of things. But I will say another note about the state liaison. She came in last week and met our teachers at the Huntsville campus, and then she was here today at St. Paul campus and bragged about the work that our kids are doing, the work that our teachers are doing. And I mean, today we got to walk in the Agri building in Savannah's room, and she's doing all kinds of stuff and doing stuff for homecoming, but it's learning opportunities for our kids as well. And it was just awesome. The things that we're doing are amazing in both sides, and I'm glad that they got a chance to come in and see all of that going on.
Eureka Springs used to have a class that would go to people's farms and build barns and storage buildings and stuff. Is that in their CTE program, or do they still do that?
I mean, they could potentially do something like that.
Because that's not that far for a lot of people if they was interested, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, because Mike Bonds, he drowned several years ago, used to be an instructor over that. And they would go build barns and storage buildings and decks and all sorts of stuff, carpentry class. And I mean, people would donate to the school and stuff like that for that too. So I mean, there's probably a lot of kids interested in doing that.
Yeah, they come up with all kinds of projects. I mean, Savannah did a barrier down there. They built a barrier out of metal, welded it and all that, so they don't have to move the barriers all the time.
Yeah,
And
they
so
were
now
getting
they
out
can
to
just,
move the barriers for the bus every day. The bus driver would have to stop, move the barrier, and now they just have a gate they walk by and it swings open like wings and the buses just pull up and like they just.
Yeah. And the kids did that.
And the kids did that, yeah.
And it's awesome. One thing, just funny thing or whatever, I don't know how to describe it, but when I was in Oklahoma City at the facility out there, one of the girls in one of the classes, it was an entrepreneurship class, she created her own coffee company, and so she had advertisement for her coffee company, and I actually ordered some, and so we've been drinking her coffee for the last few weeks, and it's pretty good. So, but that was pretty neat, and I wanted to support her because that was cool. So, but all of that stuff is awesome and makes you drool because you like see what they're doing. But I just, as we continue to grow, we'll continue to expand.
You know, you've already got a partnership going between Berryville, Green Forest, and Eureka, where those three come together, they share kits, and they can do more things in CTE than they can do individually. And we've had a couple reach out to us about the possibility of that in North Ark in Harrison has reached out to us about maybe partnering with some schools in the Harrison area, since we have a very nice facility. And whether or not we would be agreeable to having some students over here that then would be with our students that are in programming that we can't provide because we don't have enough numbers. But bringing them, so there are a lot of options and a lot of possibilities for us to be able to grow these programs and look at doing some different things, and it's exciting, because not all kids that want to go to college ought to go to college, but not all kids want to go to college, and not all kids have the availability of that, and they still need an opportunity for training to grow themselves as much as possible. So it is exciting, and some of those positions really pay well, you know, they really do, so, yeah, so.
Have we approached Kingston?
I haven't approached Kingston. I've started with Elkins. I see Paula Wheeler a lot from Elkins, and so her and I have had a lot of conversations about it, and
I would just see them
I think-
as like St. Paul, very small, so maybe on their own they can't, and they're so close.
We've actually had a discussion with Jasper, and that seems like a lifetime away to me. But they have even expressed some interest through North Ark about the possibility of sending some students over here. So I think with some of the, you know, I say smaller schools, I don't know that it has to be smaller schools, but I think there is
Jasper, that could be
possibility.
Kingston.
Jasper and Kingston and all those could have some interest in it also.
yeah. I think the starting point for us is just figuring out what that process looks like, because we have to have them on our schedule to be able to show that those kids are here. But they need to keep them enrolled for their funding, and so we're working through all of that, and once we get that figured out, I can see it just booming into something awesome.
Gotta get all them hoops in line.
That's right.
Moving once, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Kid up there.
I mean, but the funding, I mean, that plays a big role in it,
Mhm.
you know, how,
Sure.
I mean, I guess if Green Forest, Bearable, and Uric Springs are already doing it, I mean,
They're just receiving
Yes.
their state foundation funding for those kids like we are. And
Okay.
then probably the savings for them is they're not having those kids in a classroom in their building. Those kids are going to wherever site they're at based on that, and then they're all sharing the cost in the teachers there. So it's not, in that case, that it's bringing in more revenue, more that it's maybe saving some expense costs. But that's still generating positive cash, yeah. It is exciting, and it's something certainly needs to be looked at and continued on to have discussions with. So, thank you, Matt.
You bet.
Bailey, you have two pictures to share with us?
I do.
Which one is coming up first?
Which one do you want?
Harry's.
Alright.
Last night, we decided to run snow routes. This is Harry this afternoon, crossing a bridge. As he pulled up on the bridge, everything began to collapse under him, and we're gonna go pick him up in the morning.
Poor Harry.
Wondered where he was at.
But, in most cases, Harry's been out all day. In most cases, roads are much better than they were. We have one bus, and I can't tell you what number it is, but we will get it out on Facebook, that is going to run a snow route tomorrow. Other than that, everybody else will be back on normal routes.
We already
Tomorrow.
put it out.
You already got it out? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so, exciting time with some of the roads we have, so Harry is all right. We did get him off the side of the road and everything. All right. You'll show us the next one. Talk about the baseball and softball building. Now, before I talk too much about this, I don't want anybody to run too far with this, okay? All this is before we could do anything with the baseball and the softball building, we had to have a general idea of how everything would fit. If a new high school, a new stadium, new things begin to come on. You can see in the bottom, the gray area is the gym. This area is our current arena. That's what's park, and there's the arena.
Mhm.
The discussion is to put, well, you've got a highlighter, don't you? The discussion is football and track indoor area for football in the back of the gym to save space. Softball field, baseball field. This is a retention pond, which we will have to keep.
We'll have to have, yeah.
This is the new high school. This is the baseball and softball building. Softball, baseball, parking right here. That is a lot of facility on a small amount of land, really. It's packed in there about as good as we can do it. Now, we do have the high school working with the facilities master plan, and there is some discussion about when and where we can proceed with that. But the baseball and softball building is ready. We are meeting with them on Friday. We think we have the numbers worked out. And when we present those numbers to them, when we get the green light to move, we will be ready to move on that. There's lots of ways you could twist and turn that. That is not my plan. That is the civil engineer's plan for the best use of that facility. The best where we can maximize the space that we currently have. If you will, it's awfully hilly land.
That's what I was.
We have a retaining wall right here that we are actually talking about playing around with that and making this side of the high school the retaining wall, and basically this side of the high school would have a walkout basement type feel, which then would meet our requirement to have a safe room in the facility. So that's a good thing. That the land being sloped actually helps us in that case. But this parking lot will be somewhere from 10 feet to about 3 feet higher than what that stadium will be. This will be tiered. It will be relatively flat here with a step down over the retaining wall. And then obviously it's, baseball field's not completely flat, but it has very little drop. It's got to have a little to get the water off of it. There will be some drop here. This will again be relatively flat here. You can.
On the football field, all of these new fields we've been going to all year long, got new turf and stuff on them. Why in the crap did they not spend a little money and put a bathroom underneath the bleachers on the visitor side? I would strongly suggest us looking into that, it's cost-wise.
You
got a long ways to play.
Well, I know, but it's still something to have in your mind.
See, this actually has, coming off of the arena, a building here. That building would then be dressing facilities. It would come right up to the underneath of the bleachers. The beauty of having this is we can build this building multi-storied, and since we already have an elevator here, we would not have to put an elevator anymore. If you put a modern press box up, you've got to put an elevator to it.
Yep.
That would be a big savings, not only in the elevator, but in the monthly cost, or in the yearly cost you have for a maintenance plan for the elevators. They're expensive to have. So that is a win. The baseball field, as it sets, is turf and grass. This one is all turf because there is no infield to a softball field. And then, of course, everything inside of the track would be turf, or would be the red on the end would be the same surface that you have on the track for the high jump or pole vault or however that ended up.
Can you do some 11x17 for this?
Yeah. So, don't, that's a concept. That's not that can be tweaked and worked with and twisted around a little. What I need your blessing on is the baseball and softball field going right there in the middle. I mean, that is, we are ready
The
to.
fields or the building?
Huh?
The fields or the practice building?
Well, this building, right here,
Yeah,
I believe by Friday, will be ready to move forward.
and that's what the Buck Long Foundation.
That is correct, that is correct. But to put that building there,
We need to know.
we have to do a lot of dirt work. And
We don't wanna do it.
once you start that dirt work, you can't.
It's expensive. We don't
It's hard to
wanna-
go back, that's right, that's exactly right, we don't wanna do it but once.
Absolutely.
And so, I could probably sit there and design something. Matt probably could, every one of y'all probably could, but the truth of the matter is, we asked the civil engineer, what's the most economic way to lay this out and make this work? And that is what he has given us.
And that's the least amount of dirt work too.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And least amount of dirt to have to buy, least amount, we are blessed in that our soil test came in good, and we are going to be able to use a lot of that.
That's actually good.
But it's still expensive to move it. It's not free. So,
Who is?
And they really don't think we're gonna have to buy a lot, so
Who's a civil
they
engineer?
think we have enough dirt out there to
It's awesome.
Yeah.
move it.
Probably says it.
who was, do you remember, I don't honestly remember, who was the civil engineer? that was-
CEI,
Yeah, okay,
CEI.
okay. So,
Is that gonna be, it's kinda zoomed in, but that's not showing us utilizing the space where the house is right now, right?
no, the space for the house will be additional parking behind that football practice area.
And I know that this is a ways out, but we're planning on using, or like when we do a lot of this, we're going to incorporate that space into it
You bet.
as well.
You bet. That's what, yeah.
The dirt work there is minimal compared to the rest of it.
Is there enough parking there that?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you want an honest answer? I wish there was more parking there. If we had 5 more acres, we could use 5 more acres of parking.
Well, my question is,
can we do
Is
anything
there-
up towards the CTE?
is there gonna be enough parking so that we can continue to host AAA events?
I think we will be able to count enough spaces to make sure that we can host those events. But could we use more parking?
Absolutely.
Yes,
You can always use more parking.
to be honest with you.
Well, we do still have our MOUs in place with the Church of Christ and the Boston Mountain Health Clinic that we get counted.
Where's, on the other side of the creek, where's our property line at from the CTE building?
I mean, there's the CT,
I mean, our
Isn't that
property line,
right there's the CTE building.
our property
I would
line
say
is,
that's the property line right there where the gravel ends.
follows across,
Like Richardson's
Yeah.
right there.
follows across, I don't see the creek real good, but it
Yeah,
is,
it's right in here,
it is the creek
yeah.
as we come across. And I would assume that, because I wasn't here, but I would assume your property line from the CTE building then comes down to the creek, and that's where they match.
Yeah, right.
Would be right in here.
Yeah.
But I'm not as confident about where that property line is as I am this one, but I would say it has to be the middle of the creek.
Right here where that gravel is where the edge of our property line is from CTE.
So
But it goes all the way down to the
utilizing
creek.
any of that
So those
parking
properties do
there,
meet.
Now, we do have
Here,
this parking, it's all parking right here that we can use.
we have that, and you have
And some over.
some here. Uh-huh.
well, I was just thinking, if we got dirt, then we're gonna have to move it, if we have to haul any off.
We won't haul any off.
Okay, we're gonna bring.
We'll be bringing some in if we need to.
Okay.
Speaking of that, did you ever get a hold of the folks?
I did, and they said they would call me back, and they've not ever called me back. Matter of fact, they said they would come by, and I've not heard another word.
We're just talking about dirt and that.
Yeah,
Job.
yeah.
So do you need a motion to put that?
So that, my recommendation then would be that we move forward with that baseball and softball building in that position that you see there, that we move forward with at least the preliminary dirt movement to get that taken care of, so we can at least get started on the baseball and softball building. The baseball and softball group has a dollar amount that they have to spend by the end of December, or they have a different problem tax-wise. And so it is on the point now where we need to move,
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
And
So all parties are, Hijacks and everybody they like this plan.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is, the committee met last week, and this was the best we had.
Okay.
This was best use of space.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right, thank you, I will be in touch with that group on Friday, and we will move forward. And remember, that is, that's subject, the rest of it's subject to change as you all wanna do in the future, but that at least gives us a starting
I
point.
mean, to be fair, that layout is really close to kind of what we had looked at a while back
It is,
anyway.
yes, it is. Matter of fact, they got that and left with it, and then they they took all of
Tweak it a little bit.
all of their soil samples and took all their elevations. That's really based on the best way to do it for the elevation of the property.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why they make the big bucks.
Okay, and they make them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those fields are gonna be facing the right way.
I have a personnel item. I would request that we move to executive session.
Brian, can you say whether it's hiring, firing, promotion, demotion? Can you be more specific in why?
When we come back,
I think you have to do it before you
I'll
come
give
back.
you, well, it is related to some information that I've gathered on the superintendent's position,
Okay,
and it is also related on salaries for some employees.
so it'd be hiring.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I have one item that requires action. I have had an opportunity to visit with both the certified and the classified PPCs. I would like to carry a 2% bonus for our staff based on these items. This would be our contracted employees as of today. It would be 2% of their contract this year. It would have a maximum of $1,000. It would have a minimum of $500. So nobody would receive over $1,000. Nobody would receive less than $500. It is based on your primary position, and we do think that if we work every night from now till Thanksgiving,
Exactly.
we can have that put in place. Did I miss anything on that? Anything I need to clean up? Okay, all right, it would be my recommendation then that we approve that bonus as presented, to be processed as quickly as possible and hopefully to be put out before we leave for Thanksgiving break.
Yes.
Okay, that would be my recommendation.
Make a motion.
Second it.
All right, all in favor?
All right, thank you. All right, we have, do we have Dr. Williams available?
We do.
Oh, we have, hang on, Dr. Williams, one other item. We do have a slate of personnel. If you have had an opportunity to look at that, I would recommend that we, approve that slate of personnel as presented.
It's in the very back.
Oh, yeah.
And while you all are looking at that, I will remind you again, everybody's gotta have their 6 hours of training. So if you're not going to Prairie Grove next week or whatever, make sure you get your online things worked out. We've gotta have those hours in by the end of
Next week.
December.
No, this week. It's
This week, I'm
Well, I
sorry.
was gonna say, next week I go, this week I can't make it,
This
I'm
week.
out.
I did my online one today,
Okay,
so.
great.
And I'm way past.
Okay, I just wanna remind you, of course, I'm not trying to please you. I just wanna remind you, we have to have them by the end of
You
December.
got him done, you got.
The slate of personnel has been recommended. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Right.
So,
All right, all in favor?
All right, thank you. All right, now, Dr. Williams,
that's what this folder is.
Mitch, how are you?
Great,
Good.
great, good meeting, good to see you all. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. You have a agenda there, I promise you it's not gonna take as long as you might think, because we're gonna go right to it, and a lot of it's just reminders. I appreciate you allowing us to do this virtually tonight. I would have had difficulty getting there after that hip replacement. It's going okay, but I couldn't have rode that 3 hours, I don't believe, even with Nick's driving. Just informational, this morning, we had 17 applications. Now, we don't close till midnight tomorrow night. Normally, we get in 2 or 3 more, I don't know. Mitch and I have reviewed those already, and we feel good that we've got 3 or 4 very capable and valid applicants, and of course, we'll know more after we finish our vetting process. But we feel good at this point. You have all, I think Mr. Cotton copied you or gave you a copy of the stakeholder input report, a hard copy. And if you have not already read that, I think you may have had it virtually, but if you have not already read it there, you'll have it available to you. Mitch is gonna take just a couple of minutes and talk about the common threads that we observed as we conducted these 4 focus groups as well as the community meeting. Mitch, up to you.
Thank you again for allowing us to be a part of the meeting tonight. Again, if you not enjoyed the meeting, brings back old memories. But here's what I'd like to just kind of refresh you just a little bit about what we did on October the 1st. We met with classified staff, we met with students, administrators, and teachers from both campuses, from the Huntsville campus and the St. Paul's campuses. We also had a community meeting that evening. And again, we appreciate the cooperation that all of you, all the folks that participated, worked with us in these focus group sessions. Also, I want to just say, very appreciative of Bailey Cotton for the work that he's done to keep things organized and moving forward.
And I'll second that.
As Dr. Williams had mentioned, you know, one of the things that we really noticed and we look for when we do these focus sessions is to see if there's commonalities between the 4 groups that we talk to during the day, as well as the community meeting in the evening. And I just want to share with you about 5 or 6 things here that we noticed, and I think you would agree from what you've heard already, I'm sure, but these commonalities, these themes. Number one, the people mentioned that they would like to have somebody to come into the district and serve for a period of time, the longevity aspect, stay for a while, which supports continuity of leadership, stability in the district, and so that was one of the things that they brought out. The second thing is they want somebody that's very financially sound, the acuity that, you know, that they can bring to the table. Again, the experience there is the key there. Transparency, they want somebody that will come in and communicate with people in the district and the community. They're also academic achievement. The emphasis is placed on improving academic achievement performance. The fifth thing that was brought out is the need for some improvement in some of the facilities. And you've already discussed some of this, I know, and that's something that, you know, somebody that comes in can evaluate and discuss with the community members, with people with the board there, and the idea of maybe improving some of your facilities. And the last thing there is everybody mentioned that they want somebody to come in and be very community-minded, get involved, be visible. And so those are the common threads that we've noticed from the stakeholder focus group. So, and again, I appreciate, we had some great feedback from both campuses, from Huntsville and St. Paul. We appreciate that very much. Dr. Williams?
Thank you, Mitch. Now, let me just make one point about what Mitch shared. He shared with you 5 or 6 common threads that perceived as needs or skills for this new individual that you employ. Now, you probably can assume very quickly that these are the things that we're going to be assessing as we vet these applicants to see if in past performance indicates that they've exhibited these type skills. So that's just informational. Okay, interview questions. Every one of you this afternoon got a personalized email from Kirsten Jacobson in regards to board interview questions for your finalists. Now, let me emphasize, those are a draft. What I did was I looked at your 5 criteria, and I created a questions related to each one of those criteria. Then I also added what I call a section of general questions. What that survey is going to ask you to do is to select a certain number out of the ones that are available. For example, if there's 5 questions there, you select your top 3. It'll tell you on each one of them. But the other thing is after all 7 of you submit your questions, then these will be prioritized and give us the highest rank in regards to 22 or 23 questions that you may use in your interviews. By the way, we do prepare interview packets for you. So these packets will be prepared for you based on the questions that you submit that you wish to ask. Now, feel free to add any questions, and this is available at the end of the survey, that you wish. When you go through these first 5 sections of criteria, you'll just check 1, 2, or 3, or whatever it is, then you get down to the bottom. If you want to write questions that you feel like may have been overlooked, then feel free to do that. That will be incorporated into your interview packet. Now, if any of you have questions about that Survey Monkey and that email, first of all, if you don't get the email, contact me. But secondly, if you get the email and you need any assistance with it technology-wise, I've not asked him, but I believe that Mr. Bailey would be glad to assist you. He will not look at the confidential questions, but he will assist you in getting access to them and make sure you understand how to just breeze right through that survey. So that's going to be coming to you via email, Survey Monkey. If any of you noticed the email, yes.
It's very easy. I did it earlier.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the least technical persons you know, and I've already did mine and sent it back in. So it's really easy.
I do believe Mr. Opencheck can do it, the rest should be.
Okay, these will be available for 2 days, a couple of days. So So this is very important, I think, to you, and I want you to take just a few minutes and do that. Now, one other thing that Mr. Cotton put in your packet was a draft of an interview schedule for the finalists. When you select your finalists, we have a detailed interview schedule that each one of them will follow for the day, an agenda. Now, you will notice on this that there's certain things that we need to solidify, and I'll share this with you. Most often, the board is not involved in these things until the very end of the evening when you have the informal dinner. You're not expected to be up here and participate in these interviews or anything dealing with the finals. But we need to decide how you would like for me to work with somebody in picking the host for example, arrive at 9 o'clock. Somebody will greet them at central office and they can meet the office staff and look over the central office. Then, this is just a suggestion, they could tour campuses. Now, facilities is a big issue with you, and I think that the prospective finalists should gain some insight by looking at your high school and knowing what your plans are in regards to a new high school, this type of thing. Now, that's still open. If there's something else you think that would be better there, that's up to you. Then we have the 4 focus groups scheduled, and you'll notice that we have those already, the time set, location. If Mr. Cotton and I talk and that location needs to be changed, then that can happen. I still like a little bit of work with the student focus groups. By them being on 2 separate campuses, I'm having difficulty coordinating, getting questions. I think the best way to resolve this is for me to call both principals tomorrow, have them contact the 4 or 5 students from their campus, and then work this out, so we'll make that take place. Then, about 6 o'clock in the evening, we always suggest you just have an informal dinner with the finalists. Now, this does not have to be anything. It could even be a box meal. It could be very simple. But we think this is a very good time to see them in a different environment than going through a formal, direct interview. We also ask them to bring their spouse with them when they have that informal dinner with you, have the spouse there. Now, what that allows you to do is to see what the package looks like. You're getting a package if they have a spouse or a significant other. You need to know that person, talk with them, interact with them. Then the last thing, when you get through eating the informal meal, then you have your interview. But these are the things that need to be finalized on the interview schedule. And I will ask Ms. Whitney, do you want me to work with you on this, work with maybe Mr. Cotton on this, or how would you like for us to finish this?
Either way is fine with me. I mean, I don't mind.
Does Mr. Cotton mind working with me on this?
No, that's fine, Dr. Williams.
You're a great man. I appreciate you. Very efficient. Thank you.
You don't know him very well yet.
Sir, I missed that.
No, if I was picking at him, I said, you don't know him very well.
I don't know him very well, but I'm pleased with what I've learned so far from interacting with him. Now, notice down at the very bottom where I have another statement about the spouse will be involved in the process. The spouse can arrive, say, after lunch, and somebody can serve as a host. If you want to, it could be a Chamber of Commerce person, it could be anyone that you wanted to serve as a host that would give them some insight into the community, churches, and things like this. I've had Chamber of Commerce people do this. I've had realtors do this. I've had a school person do this. That's strictly up to you. If there's a board member that wanted to do it, that would be fine as well. But that's strictly your choice. And you want to think about that and maybe connect with Ms. Whitney, you connect with Mr. Cotton and see what you think might be best there. Then if that spouse, in the afternoon, after they finish that, then if they want to sit in on the last focus group meeting, they could do that just as an observer. Those are open. Those focus group meetings are open, but no one will participate except the committee and the finalists that you select. But this is the interview schedule that will be for each one of the finalists when they arrive on campus and you select those finalists in December. Any question about that daily interview schedule? You can see they've got a pretty rigorous day there. They'll be pretty well involved from 9 to 9, and you'll probably interview them for a couple of hours. Usually, typically, when we help you come up with a 22, 23 question interview packet, and the other things that you may add as you interview, it'll take 2 hours. Now, reminder, board members, that we have a week set aside for these interviews, and however many you choose to interview, consecutive nights, if that works out, it's the way this will happen. And this is December I don't have it in front of me, we meet December the 3rd, what, the 11th through the 14th or 15th are those dates.
Yeah.
Anything about the interview schedule or what's coming forward there? Very good. Now, let's go ahead and, just aside, the people that are applying and interested in this will know what you paid in the past, what you're currently paying, and a compensation range would be good that you may have during the interview. Now, here's another thing that I tell any applicant when they question compensation. I said, your goal first should be offered the job before you worry about how much they're gonna pay you. But that will be up to you to determine the compensation package, any fringe benefits. I don't know if y'all provide a car or not, or just reimbursement for expenses, but those things would be good to know, or the finest. Ms. Whitney, you could just have a list of things that are provided, such as salary, teacher retirement fringe benefits paid, what they pay on that, health insurance provided for them as an individual. You might even have Mr. Law give you a range of what it costs for an individual and family, that type thing. But that information would be good to provide without them worrying about that or asking about it at the end of the interview. Now, that concludes what I was going to talk to you about tonight, except for what's going to take place on December the 3rd. On December the 3rd is when Mr. Walton and I will be returning, and we will have all of the applications with us, and we will have 4 or 5 of those applicants that we consider as recommended finalists. Now, you will have a list before the end of the week of the 17 applicants. If there's somebody on that list that you think should be really considered strongly for an interview, you can ask us about that. Or what you can do is ask Ms. Whitney, because Mr. Walton and I will meet with Whitney before that board meeting and go over every applicant and why we consider them a strong applicant and the reason that we did not feel like they were a valid applicant to be considered. She will have that information when you're in executive session trying to decide who you want to interview or whatever. She will have that information. We can meet with her individually without any problem. We can't meet with 2 of them. And we'll have that information for you on that night. We will also meet with the stakeholder groups that night and make sure they're ready with their committee to go. You will select the finalists. You will also receive a packet of interview questions. This packet will be the ones I just mentioned to you that will be the higher prioritized questions for you. Then when Mr. Walt will present the finalized candidate daily interview schedule that night, and then we will get things to make sure that that's going to be in order to take place. And within 15 minutes after that board meeting, we will have your interview set up for that following week, which day, all of that, and then the day after, we will get you that information about who's going to be interviewed on which day. Now, that's a lot of info in a hurry, but that's what that I had that I really felt like worth sharing for you. Mr. Walton, anything else, Mitch, that I may have, that you'd like to add?
If we have somebody coming in from a distance, also need to make preparation for them to spend the night, maybe before the interview, and then maybe that evening after the interview, as far as them having to drive back to where they're from. So you make some arrangements for a local hotel, motel for these folks if they're going to be able to come in from some distance.
Yeah, we'll know that after you select your finalist.
Right.
Now, that's all I've got unless there's questions. I'd welcome any questions you might have. Now, really, when you come down to it, Mitch and I's work really begins now. Because the vetting process, when we start looking at these applicants and we start looking at the ones that have the potential, that's when it becomes real time consuming because of phone calls, missed calls, return calls, all of those things, and doing some probing of people that they didn't even realize we were going to talk to. We do a lot of random calling in this, connecting with people that they've worked with in the past, that did not even expect to be called and asked as a reference person for these individuals. Any questions of me? Ms. Whitney, I'll be sending to you, since the applications close on Wednesday night, either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I'll be sending you a list of the 17 or 18, 19, 20 applicants and their hometown.
Okay.
And you will have that, that's public information, you'll have that, Thursday or Friday morning.
Okay.
Okay? That can be in the paper or whatever you wanna do with, that's fine. Mr. Law, is there anything that you want me to make note of or address?
No, sir, just, whatever we can do to help,
Well, you better just pat Mr. Cotton on the back.
that's gonna be the last thing I do, Dr. Williams, I can tell you that.
He's gonna have to finalize all of this, and again, board members, we really appreciate him. He has been very, very efficient, very responsive, and made this easy of coordinating all the things that we've had take place so far.
He's done a great job, very good job.
We like to pick at him, but he does a great job here.
So what kind of steak dinner did he promise you?
They're not saying my bill yet.
We'll just have to see. I'm through, Mr. Law.
Okay, all right, appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
I look
much.
forward to seeing you soon. Anything else?
The kind of the campuses, I think should probably be a combination of y'all. That's just my only opinion, just because I think.
You should be able to ask them or you and the
Willing to
principal.
do whatever.
I mean, that's just my opinion, I don't know.
No, I think that'd be
I'm
good.
concur with it.
It's only gonna be a week though, so you guys might wanna take turns.
Well, if I want to
Trade off.
fill up the old flask.
And I do not volunteer to do I'm not personal enough in that last thing.
Oh, you don't want me to?
That's
Somebody will nominate you, I promise. I'm good at nominating you for things.
I'm entirely too awkward for that,
I
sorry.
think Susan Stevens would be a good person
Oh, yeah.
for that.
That's a good one.
Excellent, yeah.
She would be.
Good idea.
Who?
Susan Stevens. Susan Stevens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You speak Pemberton? Okay.
Yep.
It clicked in my
That is
brain.
a really good.
Yeah. I just knew, I did not want to get volunteered for that because.
Okay, I'll look at you.
All right, well, if there's
Every
nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Let's go up everywhere.
Second, that's all in favor. Let's just pick one.